Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of
Mom and Son Podcast. This is Rose Fres Fausto, the mom, also known as FQ Mom.
And this is Anton, Fausto, the son. For our next episode here in the podcast, we have a special guest. He is one of my co-VJs on Mix, and I'm sure a lot of people know him. And it's been a while, actually, na I've been thinking of getting him on the podcast. He actually talked to me about it already before. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But then, we were going to be interviewing the one and only Mr. VJ Edward Barber. So, syempre, we're going to do this over the phone because we are practicing the enhanced community quarantine.
Hello.
Hello, Edward.
Hello.
Yo, what's up, man? What's up?
Hello, Iho.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm still alive, which I think is good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's alright. Okay, so I'd like to, of course, first and foremost, welcome you to the Mom and Son Podcast. And thank you very much for taking time out of your ML-filled schedule. I'm sure na busy ka sa paglalaro. So thanks very much for joining us.
You have to educate the ones who don't understand what ML is.
Oh, Edward, please, what is ML?
ML?
Oh, okay.
Make
ML?
love?
No po.
Naku po.
My day is not filled with that. ML stands for Mobile Legends. It's one of at the moment at least, especially here in Asia, one of the most popular video games. It's played on handheld games or phones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a strategy game.
Oh.
And you play on a team of 5.
It's kind of like Dota, but on the phone.
Yes, it's really very, very, very similar to Dota.
And very addicting from Edward and Robbie's story. So anyway, thank you, Edward, for your time and for your headband. Actually, we worked out a few days ago, and since both of us, our hair has been growing longer na, I have to use headbands for my bangs. Ikaw naman, Edward, kamusta na yung buhok mo since it's been growing long?
If you haven't noticed, I'm sure you have, but in Mix It Up, man, when I do stuff in general, because at the moment there's a lot of content that's being done, like either for Mix or for ABS or something like that, and I'm always 90% of the time wearing a hat or something on my head because my hair is so long.
Yes.
I was actually supposed to cut my hair about, I think the week or the Friday before quarantine officially started.
Oh.
Sayang.
I was supposed to get my hair cut, and I was going through look tests and because we were trying to figure out a look for a certain character I was supposed to play, and so they're like, "Oh, don't cut your hair yet because we want to experiment with your hair." And so a month or 2 months before I was supposed to get my hair cut, I was already growing out, so I don't think I've cut my hair. I've cut my hair just once at the beginning of the year, and it's really bad.
Your bangs is up to below your nose already.
No, but I can use it as sunglasses now.
Oh, okay.
My eyes.
Alright, besides except having a haircut, okay, when this is all done and over, when it's safe to go out na, not necessarily pag tapos na yung quarantine, but when it's safe to go out na, Edward, what's the first thing you want to do?
I'm going to. Oh my goodness, what am I gonna
Barber.
do?
Besides haircut.
Besides a haircut, I'm gonna go to my church. And church is not just for me. It's not just the place. It's like going and having mass and everything like that. I'm just gonna go there because I've built such a community that I've gained such a community there. And I have so many friends and people I really consider family. And we've been keeping contact over Zoom calls and game nights and things like that.
Where is church for you? Is it close to your place of your residence?
It's half an hour away.
Oh.
On a Sunday where there's no traffic. Usually it can even go up to an hour if I go there on a weekday. Favorite church naman.
So, are you gonna hug them? Or it's not yet allowed? Without the vaccine, we cannot be so sure.
Actually, there was a meeting earlier this week with all the leaders of the church, and they said basically that this is going to be a time of... Well, of course, it's a time of change because no one could really expect what was going to happen with the virus and everything. This was in no one's plans.
Yes.
So it's going to be a time of really adjusting. And I mean, I personally, I don't think it's going to be I don't think we're gonna be able to have church like we did before, or like mass gatherings. I still feel like for the next year at least.
That's right.
Basta
Even
iba
if
yung
there is a
mangyayari.
vaccine,
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna be the same. It's really gonna be different. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure how ABS-CBN is gonna work with like ASAP and stuff like that. I don't know if we're gonna have a live audience anymore, like a studio audience.
That's correct.
I'm not sure about like concerts in the future. I think for the next, honestly, to be honest with everyone who might be listening, 2 to 3 years, that's the impact of this.
That there's gonna be a noticeable difference pa rin. Yeah.
Yes, we will never
For
go
sure.
back to the old normal. We will just have to settle for a new normal.
Yeah, create a new normal.
Yes.
Anyways, since we're talking about the quarantine na nga, let's start off the questions. So we asked a bunch of questions,
Yeah.
of course, from fans, and even this one, our first question, it comes from my mom's employee. Her name's Trisha. And I know that we talked about this recently, but then very briefly lang, Edward, being an ex-housemate, what would be a big difference between the quarantine we're facing now and your PBB, quote-unquote, quarantine?
PBB, honestly, PBB was, for me, again, like yes, Anton, we did touch on this recently, but PBB really brings out the raw identity of who you are.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate. You know how people say that money magnifies whatever's inside your heart. So if you have a lot of money and you're a bad person,
You become
you're gonna be greedy. But if you're a good person, you have money, you'll share it with the people, or you'll use it for good. And I feel like BBB is a very similar concept to that. It strips you down layer by layer, and it's not like a traumatic, invasive into your privacy, but it's like a marathon and a sprint. So if you come in there trying to be someone you're not, it's gonna fall off real quick. And I'm really grateful because I'll answer the question in a second, but I'm really grateful because I went into PBB not knowing a single thing about show business and about other artists or about how PBB worked. So everything was a new experience. So it was really easy for me to react without bias. So I'm really happy that I didn't know anything about it because I didn't want to walk in there and be something I'm not. And the really big difference to PBB and enhanced community quarantine is that there's technology. It's really as simple as that. Like for me, you have a phone, you have Netflix, you have YouTube, you have TV where you can watch the news. That is the difference, and that's what makes ECQ harder than PBB because you know what's going on. For me, I always thought it would be easier knowing what's going on. But sometimes it's just not. It's true. The ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss.
And so when you're inside a house, you're talking all the time with people that you're living with them. You're getting to know them. You're building new experiences, and you have a challenge. And the challenge is to build a 3-foot tower out of wood or out of chopsticks or something like that. Something as simple as that is just so entertaining.
And maybe because you knew that it would have an ending, your PBB. How long was that again?
Initially, I was in the house straight for 3 months.
Oh, 3 months.
And then I went
pretty
out
long.
for 1 month, and then they put us all back together again for another 2 months.
How old were you at the time when you first entered the bahay ni Kuya?
I just turned 16 when I
you were
went inside.
very young.
Wow.
Very
And
young.
now I'm turning 20 in a couple of months.
What made you join?
Long story short, I was always a fan of Liza Soberano and
Oh yeah,
and
very
Miguel.
pretty face.
But of course, my crush was Liza. I didn't understand Tagalog, but I was always watching Forevermore when it came to the Philippines, just so I could look at her.
Yes.
And one time when I was 15, almost 16, I had work experience. And one day when I was at work experience, my mom told me that they'd have a concert with 4 hours away from where we live.
Okay.
This
So I
is
was
in
like, yeah, let's
Germany?
go.
in
this was in
Germany?
Germany.
Okay.
I lived in a place called Mühlhausen, which is near Heidelberg.
Sorry, named what?
Mühlhausen.
Mühlhausen. Okay.
Yeah, it's the U with the 2 dots above it.
Oh, that's how it sounds like. Okay.
Yeah. And so we traveled 4 hours to a place called Düsseldorf.
Oh my.
And, by
Wow.
bus.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I went there, and it was like the first 100 people to buy like certain merchandise were able to get a picture with them.
Oh.
And you did.
You're a
and I did
hardcore
not.
fan pala.
I did not. I was
you
150th. So I didn't get to be part of the photo op.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I just took a picture with a poster, like one of the banners, and I asked the man to take a picture of me, my sister, and my mom who were with me.
Okay.
And that guy turned out to be one of the heads of TFC, who was like organizing the event there.
What are
and
the
so he
chances?
He said, "Do you wanna? I have a contact in, a Big Brother. Would you like to try out? I think you would do well."
Wow.
And so on the way back, already like a couple of hours later, I got a message on my Facebook Messenger asking if I wanted to do an interview, and then tuloy-tuloy na yan, and now.
And now
But the
we're here.
honest reason why I really wanted to go into BBB is because when you're 16 in Germany, they start pushing you to figure out your what direction you want to head in for university. So I didn't have a direction, and my sister was telling me about, she was already in university at the time. She's like, you have to do an essay, you have to have your CV and your application. And I realized I had nothing on my application that was special. And my grades weren't exactly that great. Like my sister is a genius, and my grades were not that good.
What year?
just
What
average.
grade were you in? Were you like grade 12 already at the time?
It's a different
System.
setup in a different system in Germany, but I was 2 years before university.
Okay.
I think it's year 11. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah. So
10.
year 10. So yeah, the reason why I wanted to join BBB is so I would have something special to put on my
Resume.
CV, my resume, and I didn't even expect I was gonna get in.
Okay.
So-
And here we are now.
And here we are.
And here you are.
Actually, there's another question.
Related to that?
Yeah, this comes from Alpha Barilio. He or she asks, it's connected din naman kasi to, now that you have the work experience, are you going to enroll for college anytime soon? May plans ka ba?
I do have a plan because of course I'm really, we have to be realistic. I don't know, maybe my career in showbiz could end next year. Maybe it could end in 5 years. But regardless, I don't, at the moment, as of now, I'm sure I could get into certain types of work, but nothing outside of the industry. So I want to make sure. I haven't actually finished high school yet.
Oh.
I still have I think I have 2 years of high school to finish, because since I left at 16,
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
I still have a couple of years to finish. And I'm working on getting homeschool that fits with the type of course that I want to take.
Yeah, you can do that.
Because I was doing the international baccalaureate in Germany,
Yes.
and I'm only 2 years away from finishing it. So sayang naman if I spend my
Yeah.
whole childhood doing that, and then I just move on to something else. So the hard point is there are not many schools that are willing to adjust to my schedule whilst giving me the IB. And so that's the challenge at the moment. So if there's anyone listening at the moment,
Yeah.
Do you have a
who's,
timetable for
going to
that?
school.
Within X number of years, I should be able to finish high school? Because the older you get, the more tamad you will be.
Yeah,
To finish that.
I'm already experiencing that. I don't I feel like I'm too smart. I had a trial workbook,
Yeah.
work booklet, and then it's like one of the questions was read the paragraph. This was for Tagalog, and my Tagalog I think is okay already.
Yes.
But the question was, it was a paragraph you had to read, and the first question was, what was the name of the dog? What was the name of the girl walking the dog? Parang, it's so easy to answer, but nakakatamad talaga. But I have to finish. I think my timeline is within the next 2 years. I have to be on the way within the next 2 years or next year. But of course, if I choose to take time off, take time for school, it means taking time off work, and that's
Yes.
also dangerous in a sense.
In the
baka
industry,
mawala
that's
ako.
right.
Yeah, you have to be
Yeah.
able to balance
So
it.
maybe you should really be able to do something on an online basis so that you can still continue your work.
Yeah, I would be very open to that. I just need a school that will adjust and give me the same IB.
Well, my
And I
mom
also,
has
there's a
friends.
third factor where I need my management and ABS-CBN to also be okay.
Yeah, we'll get you know. About my mom din kasi has friends na
Homeschooling.
Yeah, who kind of know those. Yeah, but we'll update you. We'll update you if we know.
All right.
Okay, you were
Awesome.
talking about work, diba? Na,
Yes.
it's practical nga to finish education. But if ever you weren't an actor, di ka artista, what do you imagine yourself doing now? What was your dream as a young boy?
My dream, actually, when I was a youngster, was to be an author of like a book series. I love writing.
Oh, wow.
I've always loved it. It was the only thing I was really good at in school. Like in school, I remember I would be like the worst student in maths and science. I was so bad at it. But when it came to creative thinking, literature, I'm gonna admit it now, super yabang ako sa English class. Because like they were reading Shakespeare and stuff, and writing the poems, and they were analyzing the metaphors and the similes and all of that. And I get it. I get what the meaning was straight away. But all the kids were like, I don't get it.
Oh, you're one of those. I'm one of those. I don't get it. Di ko get you Shakespeare.
But bro, that's how I felt in maths. The simplest things in maths, I just can't. My maths is so bad.
Have you talked to ABS-CBN Publishing about that? If you like, what do you like to write? You know, my last book was published by ABS-CBN.
Really?
Yes. Kapamilya author here. So anyway, what do you like to write about?
It was always fiction. Or for me, just now it's more into not like super fiction. Before I remember like the first thing I ever tried to write when I was like 13 was about zombies, because I was really into The Walking Dead.
That's something that you share with Anton.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually posted my first 2 chapters or like 3 chapters of the book on Wattpad, but under like a different name.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
an
remember
alias.
that there were so many people who were like, "This is bad, just take it down."
Good thing you used a
I was
different
like, really?
name.
I spent like 3 summers writing it.
But it's okay, yeah. You know, there's this saying that before you become good at something, you're gonna suck at it first before you're gonna become good
Yeah,
at it.
for sure.
In writing, they say you just have to write that shitty draft.
And then it's gonna get better, and you get it and then
Yes, and you know
fix
what
it
good
after.
writing is all about? It's about rewriting. So go back to your zombie chapters. Who knows?
Yeah, you can.
Who knows?
Who
Maybe.
knows?
But also, I the reason why I don't really want to do anything with writing as of now is because I want everything to be my point of view. I don't want, like, if I publish it, I sort of want to do it by myself, because I don't want anyone changing it. I don't want anyone rewriting
Editing.
it.
Why don't you create your own blog posts?
I don't want there to be a biased view. Like, if I ever do a blog, it's not gonna be my name,
Really?
because I don't want people to think because Edward the artist.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want there to be a certain image there.
Okay.
So like,
That can be
I will always
your pen name. You can make up a
You can make a pen
an
name.
alias or
Yeah.
another name.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
how do you
like-
spell it backwards? Anton is very good with
Which
that.
one? Edward Raude? Nah, you can come up with a better name. For sure. So writing. Okay,
That's very interesting. You know, no wonder when sometimes I do get to watch your Mix It Up, and you really like explaining things. So that
Yes.
is really a characteristic of a writer. We do like to explain things. We do like to tell stories. So, you know, it's a muscle that you have to exercise, writing. So I think you should, even if you still don't want to publish anything yet, you just come up with your regular writing. I don't know if you could do it on a daily or once a week basis. And you just let it out, man.
express.
Okay, let's talk about your journey. So nakwento mo na how that I would say medyo swerte yun na you traveled for hours, you wanted to watch a concert, you had a picture, it happened to be one of the heads, diba? How was it like moving away from home when you went to the Philippines?
But before that, can I just cut in? Did you ever get to personally meet Liza Soberano?
Oh yes, quite a few. Well, I've been working in the industry for.
Okay.
In August it's gonna be 4 years.
All right. So she knows about your story.
Oh yeah,
All
I
right,
actually
all right.
met her inside
The BBB.
PBB.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sige.
I told her the whole story.
Okay, Anton, going back to your question.
I'm sure na it was a big shock then naman when you came to the Philippines from Germany. How hard was it to transition?
Bro, it wasn't hard at all.
Oh, really?
I've been coming to the Philippines since I was 6 months old, since I was a baby. So every year, I think there only been like 2 or 3 years in my life where I haven't spent Christmas in the Philippines. Like I'd even get permission from school sometimes to leave 2 weeks early so I could have a month of vacation in the Philippines with my family.
A month.
Yeah.
And you're from La Union,
La
right?
Union.
I'm from La Union, yes. I have my family and my relatives there. Every year I'd spend it with them. So the humor, the culture, the food, everything, like even the temperature, like my dad always complains when you come out of the airport and that wave of humidity just hits you.
So my question
like,
is, are you Ilocano? Is your mom Ilocano?
Yes, she is.
Oh, do you know how to speak? Do you know that I am? I'm Ilocana.
Yeah.
I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to surf either.
don't know how to
Really?
surf?
You should.
I don't know how to surf.
Oh.
No.
You have to be a true La Unionan. What do you
How
call
do you call someone who's from LU?
Ilocano.
Family.
Taga
I don't
LU.
surf because I need that beach body first.
Wait, so did your mom grow up in La Union?
Actually, I think so. Yeah. Yes, she did.
Yeah, so she,
around that area.
I'm sure she knows how to speak the language well.
Oh yeah, yes, of course. Like I actually get annoyed at them because I keep on saying like I learned Tagalog for you guys and you're still speaking Ilocano. Like,
When meron.
why?
Is she frugal?
Ano po yung frugal?
Matipid?
No, not really.
Not
because
really?
With my family, actually, in my family there,
Mm-hmm.
she likes to spoil them because my family there, my relatives there, they're the ones that are really careful with their money.
Oh,
And,
so they're the ones.
like even when I started like earning,
Yes.
they were very vocal about the fact like we don't want to depend on you. Don't ever
that's
think that
good.
you owe us anything. Like they're my family, of course, but what I really love about them is that they work for their own for their bread. They don't ask for
That's an Ilocano stereotype. Is that
Yes, the matipid.
yeah, that they're very frugal. They really are very wise with their money. Sakto nga.
So really, I'd like to have a talk with you on how you handle your money, because that's what I talk about. I talk about money and family. FQ, which stands for Financial Intelligence Quotient. So hopefully, because you are very lucky to be earning your own keep at a very tender age, you were still just in your teens, or you still are. You're only 19 up to now, right?
Yes, but
And have you been investing?
Ito na.
Eto na.
no, I have not been investing, but I haven't been like that's my plan in the future. I plan within the next 2 years to start something. My dad and my sister, my and myself, we have our own foundation already, which was something that we wanted to start at the very beginning. It's called the Elm Tree Foundation.
Yeah.
So
Elm
that's
Tree
something that,
Foundation.
What does
the
it
Elm
do?
Tree. Basically, we always wanted to help kids that didn't have the chance. Because the elm tree, if you guys have ever seen an elm tree, is big branches, protection, and deep roots. So the elm actually stands for Edward Laura Maymay.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
ELM.
Yeah.
So all the kids who never had a chance to get a good education, or never emotionally or secure or had a family, it's basically giving a chance to them to get a better future, because not all of us were born in an easy environment or with the chance to be something more than themselves. So we wanted to make sure that every kid had that right. But at the moment, it's still really small. It's just growing. At the moment, we're just partnering with different foundations, and then we're growing now. But other than that, that's not really an investment. That's not really going to be like
It's
a
not
money
for
earning.
profit.
It's not for profit, yeah.
It's not for profit.
It's your
my
good
dad
deeds.
My dad is an accountant, and he has his own business.
You also have to have your passive investment. And maybe Anton can talk to
Yeah,
you
one day
about
we
that.
can. Yeah, we should have a session on that, on the importance. Kasi, I mean, it's also in the industry. It's the reality na di naman natin alam na, like what you said, how long the career is gonna be. So, wherever you are, whenever, whatever time it is in your career, it's important nga to practice that Ilocano trait of being frugal and good with your money. Alright, so that's it for part 1. Part 1 of our interview, our discussion with VJ Edward Barber. Grabe talaga si Edward kasi makwento talaga siyang
Yes.
tao. So, I think it's just right that we split it up to 2 episodes to really have the meat of it, have the whole heart of it.
Okay, so see you again next week for the part 2.
So once again, it's been Anton, Falso the Sun,
And Rose Fres Fausto, the mom, also known as FQ Mom,
for another episode of
Mom and Son Podcast.
The Mom and Son podcast airs every Tuesday, 7 a.m. and can be streamed on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Buzzsprout.com, and YouTube. Just search Mom and Son Podcast for your weekly dose of family, finance, passions, and everything in between. Leave a comment so other listeners may find this podcast. If you have any questions or suggested topics, email us at antonfalso@gmail.com.